Hey guys, welcome back. I haven't had this much fun in a long time, probably since I was a teenager, because I just got this brand new 3D printer, and I'm telling you what, it is a fantastic, fun, interesting hobby. Let's talk about it. Now in 2026, I wasn't planning on getting into the 3D printing world, but my daughter had done it at school a few times. I mentioned it for Christmas, and of course she got a 3D printer, and now Daddy had to get a 3D printer. And I'm telling you what, this is a fun toy. If you're into tech, if you're into making things, and just, I don't know, there's something about this creation, you know, being able to create things, it's just a blast. So I'll give you a little bit of a tour about the 3D printer, and then I'll show you some of the things I've built so far, and then where I'm going from here. So this is the Bambu Lab P2S combo. Okay, I bought it with a combination of this thing called the Bambu Lab AMS 2. Now what this thing is it's a drying mechanism for filament. Okay, filament has to stay dry. If it absorbs water, it has trouble printing. Maybe it clogs the nozzle. I'm not exactly sure yet. But this combination of this AMS2 and the P2S is really the ultimate combination for beginners, to be honest. I mean, you could probably go a little bit cheaper, but I don't know. I think for the quality you're getting with this build and the performance of the combination of these things, it makes things so much easier than a simple 3D printer. Now, as far as the unit, you get this touch screen. It's not too hard to install, very well built. I mean, the touch is very sensitive, which is a good thing. I don't like touch screens that you have to really press real hard. And you can see your AMS unit. Okay, I've got PLA in there. I've got black, white, green, and like a gray. And then over here, this is my account. And then this tells you about the bed, what the conditions are, so on and so forth. And then up here, I can open this up. There's little tabs here to keep it sealed. And you open it up, and there's the filament. I've got a nice shiny green filament, and then white and black, and this is like a gray, basically. Really nice. And you store some desiccant in there to keep everything dry. And then there's a 3D print desiccant holder that somebody had showed me that I'm going to install into this thing. Overall though, the size of the unit was much smaller than I thought. I thought this thing was going to be close to being up here, but actually this thing is pretty small. I thought it was even going to be wider, so not too bad. I mean, the box that this all came in was basically one box. They put the AMS drying unit inside of the actual 3D printer, so there's a process that you have to go through to get it out. But overall, the first thing you do, this company's got their stuff together. This is the first thing you see on the top of this box, and you scan the QR code. And once you do that, you get a video, a how-to on unbox it, take all the packaging out, take the AMS unit out of the unit, and overall, it was 10 minutes. It wasn't too bad at all. And then that's the plate. Now, when you do 3D printing, you take the plate off after you're done. It's magnetically sealed, so it's kind of hard with one hand. And then you take the plate out, and you take a scraper, a plastic scraper. You don't want to use metal because you're going to grind that surface off. And you just scrape the part off. And you kind of bend that plate as well to get the part off. And yeah, so far so good with this unit. I've had great experience printing with this, no print mess ups. Now I have had one issue with one of the filaments, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then at the back, you've got this chute back there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's essentially this thing called the chute. It's called the poop chute. And that's one of the things a lot of 3D printer people will do, is print off a poop chute in order for all these plastic nards to come into, and I'll show you guys that. So let's show you what I printed first. So the first thing I printed was a little scraper, and that's for the bed of the prints. So when a print is done, you take that bed out and you can just, you know, kind of scrape it along. It helps pretty much, but you can kind of sometimes bend that plate and it'll get them off. The second thing I printed were these clips. Okay, up on the printer, I'll show you this. On the head of the printer, let me see if I can get this good here. Yeah. You see up there that track? That thing moves all over the place. Now, the clips I did finally print are still not fitting perfectly, but I'm trying to prevent this cable here, I can't point to it, right there, from scraping this glass, the top of the glass there. But maybe I'll do a few more prints and get that perfect. We'll see what happens there. But so far it hasn't been really grinding on top. And then the third thing I printed was my first multicolor print. Now this is the poop chute. So this hangs on the back of the unit, and then you get all this plastic poop. Now this was all the waste that was created from this print. And it's all because you've got these multiple colors here. So there's only one nozzle on the unit, okay? So everything is done in a layer, okay? Layer by layer by layer. So they'll do one layer with the green, then it'll go back, clean the nozzle, then change over to the gray, do that layer, and so on and so forth until you finish the two colors. And so that causes a lot of waste. Now, if you were to do commercially multiple colors, like on a product, you would want a multi-nozzle 3D printer. That way you can load multiple colors into each nozzle and you only get basically one set of these. Maybe this might be the only amount of waste that you get, because it's the first time that that all the nozzles would clean themselves. I think there's like a 7 nozzle version from Bambu Labs. So, you know, if you're really into this commercially, you might want to look into that. I'm not too familiar with how that works. I know there's a dual nozzle, but somebody told me there's like a 7 nozzle one. So that's interesting. Now, I don't think I'm going to get into the multicolor stuff as a business, but for my kids and for myself, I'd like the multicolored stuff. And so then the second thing I printed, let me turn this over, was this tiny case for a time-lapse computer. Now this computer, I haven't tested it yet. I bought it for like 15 bucks. It's inside of this enclosure. It's screwed into the back. And there's a couple of ports that this thing plugs into the actual 3D printer, and then somehow it triggers your camera to take a photo in a time-lapse sense. So I'm not exactly sure how this works. I'll have to do some research, probably watch a YouTube video on it, but it's kind of fun little print, 2 colors. And then the fifth thing I printed was for my son. He really likes that movie, How to Train Your Dragon. And so we found a STL file that was like $2.50 on Etsy. And then this was a 3-colored print. And you see there the white in the eyes there. So black, green, and white. And it had to build all these supports because if you don't have supports, this layer here that's going way out, these wings would droop over to the ground, and that's why you have to have these supports, and you got to rip them up. And I'll show you the waste that comes off of these supports. Basically, all this waste was from these supports that I had to, tear off the unit. And then it also has to build this. This is a waste product, a byproduct as well, because it has to transition these colors. You can see the green and black there. So there's a bit of waste in this process, which, I guess is just part of business, at the end of the day. I'm not a big fan of plastic waste. I mean, we all like to be good for the environment. So if you're doing multicolored stuff, get a multi-nozzle. That way you don't waste a ton of stuff. What else? Now, the other problem I did have printing that black dragon was I bought 3 filaments, gray, green, and red, from Bambu Labs. And I noticed the filament it feels a little bit thicker. So this print here took 11 hours to finish. It did it overnight because of the 2 colors. Okay, it's got to stop, do its nozzle cleaning and all that jazz. And it didn't have a problem. It went through the entire night, no problem, finished in the morning, and all was good. But then I bought a another set of filament from this company called Creality, and they do 3D printers as well. And I don't know if it was just maybe a fluke, but my black and white filament that's in this AMS, it is the Creality brand. And when it was changing colors, going back and forth, the black, it kept having this this alert go off, and it wouldn't load. And so I had to take out the entire strand, and I had to cut it, okay? And I had to lose some filament, because when the filament is loaded, there's these little plastic gears that help load the filament. They kind of grind on the filament and push it through these tubes. And after you've pushed it through the tubes a few times, it kind of wears and gets thinner and thinner. And I feel like the Creality filament, it just felt really thin. And the problem that the Bambu Labs unit was mentioning was it didn't have enough like kind of traction to get it to the head, the nozzle that's heating up. So I had to unspool it, cut it, re-spool it, because the stuff that wasn't cut, or where I was cutting it, it was brand new filament. It hadn't gone through that plastic grinding wheels, essentially. And so that's an interesting problem that I think I might have if I do multicolor. Now, single color products that you build aren't going to have that same problem, because they don't go back and forth in this AMS unit. Every time you change colors, it's got to take the filament back up, reel it back up, and then reel it back out. Reel it up, reel it back out, or reel it in, reel it out, reel it in, reel it out. It's like a fishing pole going in and out, except this time there's little grinder wheels that are making your filament thinner. So that's a word to any new 3D printer people out there, that be cautious what you're buying. I'm not saying Creality is bad. It's just an experience I've had so far. I think that if I just printed a solid color, it's probably a fine filament. So, and this is this Bambu Lab AMS2. It may be only kind of compatible with Bambu Lab PLA filaments. So we'll see what happens. I'm still going to probably use it because I have it. But there was just a couple problems. But the print did finish. The nice thing about this printer was it stopped, and I was able to unload it, reload it, and continue on. And it finished up. My son was freaking out. He was like, "Dad, man, it's broke. My Dragon isn't going to print." I told him, just be patient. We'll work it out. We'll take our time. That's the key to any technology, is you got to be patient. And this is a machine. It's not a computer. It's a computer and a machine all in one. So, you got to have some patience with any type of this technology. What else? Now, my workshop, I've been improving it ever since. I also installed a nice wood wall here, kind of like a piece of drywall. I had to cut the holes out for the electrical outlets. It was a pain getting it through this whole apparatus. It's an 8-foot wide wall, half wall essentially, but I got it in there all in one piece. So I'm pretty proud of myself for doing that. I also did, I used one of these 3x3 cabinets to store my filament, and everything's in desiccant, trying to keep everything dry. It is a little damp, not damp down here, but it's cold, right? So there might be a little more moisture in here than probably upstairs. And the other reason why I wanted to do wood over here was I want to easily be able to screw in, screw out, any sort of, shelving, or I think I'm going to do this 3D print octagon technology that is, it's not open source, but you can use it personally. If you do it commercially, you got to sell it like at $50,000, you got to start paying royalties. But for personal use, it's free. So I'm gonna take you guys through that journey as well. But again, I just wanted to be able to easily screw things into there. I didn't want to have to deal with drywall and all that. The only problem with doing a wall like that is it's not easy to cut. Drywall's way easier to slice and dice and get holes the right size and all that. But I think I did a pretty good job there. Now over here, I've got my, this is a U-line paper roller thing. I bought that years ago, and I just don't have a paper roll on it. But, if I get into shipping something, that'll be handy. This will be a good shipping station over here to wrap up parts and everything. And I think I have a potential client already lined up. I'm going to start a company maybe tonight or maybe tomorrow. And we'll see how things go. It'll be interesting. I don't really want to start a new company because, you know, there's maintenance in it. You got to file your taxes. You got to file registration with the state. But if I want to make more money and I want to have a side hustle, that's what you got to do, you know. So anyways, it's been a lot of fun. I got a lot to learn. I'm going to start prototyping another product that doesn't have to do with that other opportunity of mine. I'm going to start prototyping it now because I think I've printed everything I need to print to kind of learn the printer itself, learn the software. I'll show you guys Bambu software as well, or Bambu Studio. I'll do a demo as well of the AMS2, how that thing works. It's kind of crazy. In my opinion, you know, when I got this thing out, I kind of thought it was like the future in the Terminator. I thought of the Terminator. It's just like making all these crazy noises and stuff. And I'll show you guys some prints and maybe I can capture the audio. It's kind of futuristic. I feel like it's the Terminator 2 kind of thing. Kind of wild and crazy, but anyways, yeah, this is my Thursday videos. It's going to be all about 3D printing, all about how to build this business that I'm doing. I'll take you guys through what I can go through. This potential client of mine, I don't know how much I'll be able to disclose on that, but you know, that'll be an interesting process as well. So anyways, if you guys could, let me know in the comments below what you think of these videos of the 3D printing process and the journey I'm going through. Again, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just going through the motions, doing what I think I can do on the channel. And yeah, anyways, like and subscribe if you could. Take a look at my previous video, and everyone have a good day. Later.